Visit Wuhan and discover a city of delicious hot dry noodles and crayfish. Accessible from every direction, it prides itself on its inclusiveness and independence, as well as its constantly bustling atmosphere. Discover the real Wuhan in its marketplaces and streets in 24 Hours in the City, Wuhan.
Their lives were unchronicled by biographers, with no plaques or inscriptions to celebrate their achievements. There is, however, one legacy that they do leave behind that can help future generations understand the times they lived through. Personal letters. Join us on CGTN Documentary for a unique take on history. China in Letters.
Craftsmanship is a conversation between artist and nature. With passion and perseverance, the craftsman's dialogue can produce things of extraordinary beauty. Their voices echo through the souls of their creations. This is Makers, chronicling the craftsman.
Every culture has its own story. Over time, it is beliefs and tradition that hold a people together, giving meaning to their habits and way of life, making them unique, and the world a vastly more interesting place as we come to discover more about each other.
广品质生活，欢迎收听
深圳早班车，
欢迎收听早安郑州，来关注。
At one point in its history, China had only two big cities. One was Shanghai, and the other was Wuhan. A typical day in Wuhan starts with rising plumes of steam. In this city, almost no one has breakfast at home. Wuhan has a permanent population of 12 million people. Between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning, about 5 million of them go to eateries and stands at every corner of the city for breakfast. Having breakfast outside is known as guozao in local dialect, which loosely translates into celebrating breakfast. For local residents, breakfast is almost on a par with celebrating Spring Festival and other important occasions. Wuhan grew prosperous as a port city, and the term guozao carries the ethos unique to the city's wharf workers. Loaders working on the wharf could not afford to raise families in Wuhan and had to take breakfast outside. As they engaged in exhausting physical labor, the workers needed oily and salty food with a high calorie content. Wuhan had a wide range of food options. Workers were in a hurry to get back to their work and had to finish their breakfasts quickly. Over the past 100 years, the city has undergone drastic changes, but the tradition of guozhao survives in its original form. Of all the choices available, the most popular is hot noodles with sesame paste.
微辣中辣，微辣香菜的，微辣个香菜2碗都是啊。有一碗牛肉腰子，红萝卜要贵一点的，多贵一点的那就，不行。13块钱。
25-year-old vendor Luo Setsai has opened his shop for just under 1 hour and has already sold about 240 bowls of noodles.
我做热干面已经有10年了。热干面呢，说难也难，说简单也简单。加一点芝麻酱，加点酱油，加点萝卜，加一点卤水，再加点辣椒，丢点葱花。但是呢，用最简单的佐料调出好的味道，还是蛮讲究的。你是吃热干的还是吃汤的？不要辣的，香菜的，微辣中辣的，不要辣的，不要香菜，香菜给的，不辣的，生汤牛肉稀粉，不要辣的，给的香菜。你看是不是？熟的辣椒，生汤牛肉稀粉底1个筷子的，马上来，稍等一下，还没到的。
Luo is not talkative by nature. By the end of the morning, he has done all the talking he needs to for the day. Wuhan residents consume over 2,000 tons of noodles every day. On average, about 1 out of 3 people eat hot noodles with sesame paste for breakfast. Noodle shop owners are the first ones to get up in the morning. Breakfast shops and stands across the city open almost at the same time as Luo Setsai's. The busiest time of the day is about to begin.
武汉怕是有上万个早点摊子，做早点的人那就说不清了，都慢早起来，刮不下雨都一样的。说辛苦是蛮辛苦，但是我们呢也都习惯了，没法说呢，我们都是热干面养大的，也是心甘情愿的吧。
Over 10 years, the price of a bowl of hot noodles with sesame paste has risen from 1 yuan to 4 yuan, but this is still not enough to make a breakfast stand viable. Owners have to add new ingredients to improve profit margins. For Luo Setsai, this means more complicated preparations in the early morning.
麻烦是麻烦了一点，但是热干面还不是要与时俱进。
When Luo Setsai opens his store, other people in remote alleys across the city are already busy with their work. These are workshops that make the core ingredients of Luo's signature dish, uncooked noodles made with soda water. Generally, a workshop can process 600 kilograms of noodles for 5 to 6 stands. To guarantee fresh ingredients, the noodles have to be made early in the morning. Over the last 2 years, the rent in downtown areas has continually risen. Many workshops have moved to the suburbs, delivering the finished noodles to breakfast stands and shops. While the city is still asleep, thousands of virtually identical vans run on empty roads. This is a scene many local residents never see. To outsiders, hot noodles with sesame paste all taste the same, but locals often argue over which shop makes the best dish. In most cases, the best noodles are always the ones served right below one's own home. After having breakfast, many Wuhan locals will take a trip across the river. Non-locals find it hard to understand the significance of this simple act. Some say the river that runs through the city creates a feeling of departure, even though you can see the people on the other side. It's so close, yet so far away. But there's a more pragmatic, commercial side to it. Ferries, a means of transportation used over the last century, are still in service. The deck is crowded with salary-earning workers and tourists who have come for sightseeing. The ferry gives them the best view of the famous Wuhan Yangtze River Bridge. Every morning, the maintenance team for the railroad of the Wuhan Yangtze River Bridge holds a pre-shift meeting. The team is responsible for carrying out safety checks and maintaining the rail tracks. The next hour will be a race against time. The Beijing-Guangzhou Railway and the number 107 National Highway both run from north to south and pass the Wuhan Yangtze River Bridge. About 260 trains cross the bridge at high speeds every day. During peak hours, one train passes every 5 minutes. The longest interval between trains is 2 or 3 hours. Chen Jingming and his co-workers have to complete their work during this window. Today, this window will only be open for 70 minutes, which is rare in their work. Chen Jingming and his team have to carry out emergency adjustments to some track gauges. In 70 minutes, they must tighten up loosened bolts, restore the track gauges, and replace sleepers whose service life has expired. All of this has to be done before the next train arrives.
好吧，好，各位，开始。毕竟有10几个工友和同事在线路中间在作业，而且这个作业会是影响行车的，不仅影响行车安全，也会影响我们的人身安全。在有限的时间里面，要做超出有限时间的工作，这是一种大胆的、比较冒险的行为。
The Wuhan Yangtze River Bridge is older than anyone in the maintenance team. In 1957, the first modern bridge over the Yangtze River became the pride of the nation. Many local residents born that year have the Chinese character for bridge in their names. Written records show that the bridge piers suffered 76 major hits in history. The 8 piers remain solid, but have been soaked in the water for years. As a result of external forces from wind and vehicles, the steel girder has become slightly distorted. The gauges at the rail tracks at the lower level of the bridge are likely to have been affected, causing potentially fatal hazards to trains passing at high speed. Chen Jingming and his workers are now removing all those hidden hazards.
这边只搞一种，我还得搞一种，这样子拿不了力气。到时间通知我，好不好？啊，我跟他们前面个说话。
At this moment, people are dancing under the bridge as usual. next train is just 10 kilometers away. At 11:25 a.m., passengers began checking in for the train that is about to pass the bridge. In 18 minutes, it will pass the Wuhan Yangtze River Bridge as scheduled. None of the 650 passengers on this high-speed train have any idea that a dramatic scene has taken place on this bridge they just passed over.
本次列车正在通过万里长江第一桥。
在万里长江大桥上面做事是非常自豪的。我从小，我们也可以说是洋桥世家吧。从爷爷建桥、爸爸洋桥到现在我第3代洋桥人。 对他一种特殊的情感。
Over the past 60 years, the city has undergone tremendous changes. 7 new bridges and 2 underground tunnels have strengthened connections between people on the 2 banks of the Yangtze River. Crossing it has become an easy matter. But for Wuhan, the bridge continues to hold a special status. The bell of the Jianghanguan building chimes every hour on the hour. After the building was finished, the bell tower began to give local people the correct time along to the melody of the Westminster chimes. This British-style building was the tallest of its time. It used Swedish parts for the clock bell and time signal apparatus made in the US. The parts and apparatus were installed by top technicians in China. Once the true heart of Wuhan, it's now overshadowed by a new region across the Yangtze River. Metro trains passing this region seemingly experience no changes in traffic flow. There are only crowded carriages and even more crowded ones.
到站终点站关谷广场。要下车的乘客，请携带好随身物品，提前做好下车准备。不要在路上玩耍，以免发生危险。
Optics Valley is the youngest region in Wuhan. It is filled with students about to embark on their college life, college students about to graduate, and new graduates. Young people seeking their fortune flock to Optics Valley, creating a unique ecosystem.
在关谷每天都有100多个像我这样创业失败的人。
资本大厦的电梯是世界上最难等的电梯，我每天中午都要跟200多人同时抢。
我每天上班下班经过那个地方，看到身后的这个砖块，从没得到油，现在又没得了。
走路、摩拜、BRT 公交、摩的、地铁、有轨、开车、大车。现在的光谷拥有9种出行方式，但是每一种都没法让我迅速回家。
现在做生意 APP 都已经过4大，靠的是众筹、P2P 和小程序。
我到了。
At 11 a.m., Optics Valley comes alive with brainstorming activities. Ding Yibiao graduated 3 years ago. Today, he will give his 96th presentation on his startup project.
我已经到资本大厦了，我稍微提前来了。昨天晚上咱们确认过的那个 PPT，你放在我电脑里吧。 哎，陶艺，关于那个昨天晚上咱们开会讨论的那个，就是那个模式的这边的话，因为有超过100万的这个大学生，创新创业的氛围的话特别浓厚。雍亲那个地方我们还是，然后也便于我在这个概念。天下掉块石头，如果有9个就是创业的。关于那个分享返现的那个模式，解释太复杂的话，我觉得所有人手一个 PPT， 上市都是指日可待，更利于这个不管是这个听众也好。尊敬的各位投资人，大家早上好，我们是来自。
After graduation, Ding Yibiao chose to stay in Wuhan. He started a company with 5 or 6 classmates, joining millions of young entrepreneurs seeking their fortune here. In 2018, there were 1.2 million college students in Wuhan, more than in Beijing and Shanghai. That number is the largest not only in China, but also the world. In the eyes of young entrepreneurs, Capital Tower is the place where their ideas can be funded and turned into reality. The Startup Cafe on the first floor hosts more than 10 matchmaking meetings for entrepreneurs and investors every week. Ding Yibiao is all too familiar with them.
现在目前，比如说我们产品的覆盖，我们就是那个光谷创造这个孵化呈现力，把它当初那个1.0的这个版本的这个投资人他的投资方向啊什么之类的。哎，白总你好，比如说这个 OTA 的渠道，比如像携程呐，这种我们也是。哎，要不咱加个微信吧？对，你是老前辈了，要多跟你交流。
The concentration of universities, waves of young people, countless high-tech businesses and the aura of new technology attract large flows of capital here. Investors sit through endless presentations from passionate young entrepreneurs seeking opportunities that could bring lucrative profits in a short time.
武汉市去拼游科技股份有限公司带来的项目去拼游旅行网。
你好，
这是一个做应该是互联网旅游。
Ding Yibiao sees every meeting as a life-changing opportunity. Everything depends on the quality of his presentation and the PPT document in his laptop.
客户会带来客户，那么有一个裂变式的一个传播。作为互联网旅游公司的话呢，通过更多的成交量来积累更多的这个平台数据。
While Ding Yibiao is doing his presentation, students prepare to end their last classes of the morning at Wuhan University, which is right next door to Optics Valley. This is the last quiet moment of the morning on the campus. Wuhan University has come top in the rankings for China's most beautiful campuses many times now. Every March, more than 200,000 tourists crowd into the campus every day to enjoy the cherry blossom season. University management has had to restrict visitor numbers. Every year, new people check in to this building known as Laojia Shi. It was the first campus dormitory building in China's modern history and also goes by another name, Cherry Garden. Every year, young graduates leave the Cherry Garden, step through the gates of Wuhan University and join the hordes of young people at Optics Valley.
这个分销的这个产品来自于我们的直采，希望能够做国内社交化旅游电商的非常。
Ding Yibiao continues with his startup presentation.
去拼游，拼多多。结果越走越偏，越走到这些省道去了，越听越没劲儿。好，没有了。
Today, investors' questions seem to be much sharper than ever. But after suffering so many setbacks before, Ding is used to this and is still in high spirits. What he values is not attitude, but opportunity. Optics Valley during lunch break looks like a giant campus cafeteria. The difference is that diners here are nowhere near as relaxed as those on campus. Ding's presentation today was not a success.
今天创投会效果一般，应该不能直接拿到投资。我们这种文旅的项目，跟投资人的那个投资背景，不符合。我看了一下，我们对自己的表现很满意，其他的看下一回吧。对，不管今天结果怎么样，还是要把这条路走下去。
In this region filled with passion and unpredictability, new ideas are generated and new startups appear every day. It is also filled with people who have just lost their jobs or failed in business. This is all part of the magic that is unique to Optics Valley. Two o'clock in the afternoon is a strange moment in the city. People still feel sleepy and are troubled by tasks that are yet to be completed. But for Scenery Village, this is the most beautiful time of the day. This is probably the only fishing village in China located in a city's downtown. Some say it is like Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and others compare it to Santorini in Greece. It is just walking distance from the crowded Optics Valley.
We are all travelers, in one way or another, in search of a truth, a light that will lead us in our quest. Adventures that will fill our spirit and soul. An exploration beyond what can ever be imagined.
In the afternoon, the Hubei Provincial Museum welcomes its second tourist rush of the day.
1978年的夏天，在湖北省随州雷古墩地区，我们意外地发现了这套曾侯乙编钟。
The chime bells of Marcus Yi of the Zheng State are the most precious exhibits in the Hubei Provincial Museum. They are also the largest and most intact set of chime bells in China, and among the first cultural relics that were forbidden from being displayed abroad. The gigantic objects occupy the entire space of a dedicated exhibition hall and weigh 2,567 kilograms. Despite being underground for more than 2,400 years, the chime bells still play accurate tones. Unfortunately, since their excavation over 40 years ago, the bells have only been played on 3 major occasions. However, there is one place just a few kilometers from the museum where people can enjoy their music.
1978年的夏天，在湖北省随县雷古墩地区，意外地发现了战国时期的一位贵族曾侯乙的陵墓。据专家
This exact replica of the chime bells, complete with the same engraved script, was built on the Chu roof deck in the 1990s. Unlike the real set, this replica is played every 45 minutes. Mao Xiaojing has played them on more than 12,000 occasions.
...15分钟左右的表演嘛，然后再会表演下一场。
7年来每一天都是这样子。
下面请欣赏《欢乐颂》，选自贝多芬第9交响乐主题音乐。
The waters that flow underneath the Chu roof deck belong to the famous East Lake, the largest lake in a downtown area in China. At 33 square kilometers, it is 6 times larger than the famous West Lake in Hangzhou. While East Lake is more like a playground for local residents, the West Lake belongs to the world.
小时候的民居楼，冒的那朵人，外地人为了看大桥，才来到汉阳门。汉阳门的人都可以坐船过汉口，汉阳门的花园属于我们这些居家的人。冬天腊梅花，夏天石榴花，晴天都是人，雨天都是啊。我刚刚开始写这个汉阳门花园，给周围的人听的时候，就觉得蛮奇怪，因为武汉话吵吵闹闹的。我们平常说武汉话都蛮安静，只是吵架的时候不安静。
Folk singer Feng Xiang holds his music salon in the afternoons. After drifting in Beijing for 10 years, Feng returned to Wuhan and dedicated himself to writing ballads in the local dialect.
当一个城市或者一个人他的节奏太快了的时候，总想慢下来，反过头想一下子，我到底是谁？我从哪里来？大家会去体验看起来非常微小的那样一些幸福感。
Returning to his hometown after spending years in another city has allowed Feng Xiang to examine Wuhan from the perspectives of both a local resident and an outsider.
整个这20-30年变化太大了，比如说关于骆驼桥啊，民族乐园完全不一样了。虽然是那个庙还是那样，但是大家去的目的不一样了。武汉更重要的一个个性就是包容融合。这个武汉这个整个城市的文化，并不是在武汉这个地方这样长出来的，而是它汇聚了全国各地，不管是东南西北，把自己的文化带到这里，就融为一体，然后变成了武汉这个城市的城市文化和城市性格。
这是我最喜欢的一首歌，那是影子带着我们认得的。还有个人把那个其他苍蝇问我，
你要说它更国际化了，其实武汉曾经都有过，也就是说武汉曾经辉煌过，然后现在又要重新回到那个样子。冬天腊梅花，夏天石榴花，过楼的看风景。
家的卖清茶。
At 5:30 p.m, Wuhan's three towns merge into the common rhythm of the evening rush hour. To local residents, the three towns show totally different temperaments. Hankou used to be the commercial and fashion hub of the city and is awash with glittering neon lights. Wuchang is a university town. At this time, throngs of college teachers and students head back to their dormitories. Hanyang is a center of heavy industry and seems to be constantly trying to catch up with the other two. With the rapid expansion of businesses, the city skyline has seen continuing changes, making it harder to tell the difference between the three towns. As they become more similar, even the evening rush hours have lost their personalities. But for local residents, this evening traffic rush pales in comparison to what Wuhan looked like decades ago when it was known as the Red Steel City. The Wuhan Iron and Steel Company was the first large-scale steel-making conglomerate in the People's Republic of China. It went into operation 60 years ago and resulted in the city being dubbed the eldest son of the People's Republic of China. At its peak, the gigantic plant employed 120,000 steelworkers. On December 1, 2016, the 50-year-old plate at the plant entrance was replaced with a new one. Wuhan Iron and Steel officially merged with Baoshan Iron and Steel. The new behemoth was the largest in China and the second largest in the world. In this ever-changing era, this place is now a living fossil where people can learn about the changes that have taken place and also a lifestyle that many believe had disappeared. Li Chonghong is now 46 and was only 24 when she started to work at the Wuhan Iron and Steel Company. She has not left the Red Steel City for the last 22 years. 2 years ago, the company launched a large-scale drive to lay off 40,000 employees. Li was one of them. Like many employees, Li left the workshop, but not the plant's residential area.
我听我爸爸说，就是支援吴刚，好多人就调到这边来了，起码有2、3代人。到了我们现在，那就不知了。我现在的生活就是把爸爸顾理好，把家人照顾好。爸爸吃饭嘛？拿个米。你等他吃完了起来提醒我点补吧。
After the layoff, many people had to adjust their lifestyles to the new situation. As night falls, the city begins to settle down and show its true character. Over the past years, the city has been lit up by an increasing number of lights. Night cruise tours of the Yangtze River are gaining popularity. One of them is the cruise ship Zheyin, which sets sail at 7:30 every evening. The ship's popular interactive theatre, the two banks of the Yangtze River, together with the transport access perpendicular to it, are where the lights shine brightest at night in Wuhan. Along this cross-shaped axis, the city's public centre expands into the suburbs. The Red Steel City also sits along the extension of this belt of light.
什么菜来的？
然后里头的是。
轮到他起来，那么轮到他起，都等着我们两个呢。好的，好的，好的。
Most of these people are employees of the Wuhan Iron and Steel Company and meet here regularly. Li Chonghong is obviously the center of attraction. No one knows how long this club has been running. It was here when Li and her dancing partner were still young. At 5 yuan for a ticket, they can dance with familiar faces to music from a saxophone. This place recreates the balls thrown by state-owned enterprises and universities in the 1980s.
每个地方都有那个真心换代的，一些年纪比较大一点的啊，他们自己内心肯定是有很大的碰撞，总是要找一个另一个出口，让自己可以疏通自己的心情啊。
哪条是人？我是人，退休在屋里噻。哟，你好爽啊！有这样的，怎么跳不了舞呢还？别动，看那个。
看什么呀？看这里。
哎呦，他他妈是你命一样的。
做的心头的噻。
他就是转不过弯来，他说三来我们两个想法不一样，么。
三步踩就是原来的休闲三步，很多的比较有名望的老师，我们今天也到场啦，马上开始舞会。
The restrained style of ballroom dancing did not become popular with the hot-blooded people of Wuhan. That's why they created this faster three-step dance, which was fashionable when Li Chonghong and her workmates were still young. After leaving the plant, Li resumed her hobby. Today, she is a three-step dance teacher, widely known in her neighborhood.
这都不行了。快点去告诉人。还有，起码要喝3大杯。
这个武汉这个茶呀，跟我们这个文化有着一定关系，还是与我们武汉的这个码头文化。所以说，他武汉的那种江湖气质比较浓，水花多，哎，水怪不怪样的，还水就有味。
In Wuhan, the night belongs to the young and those who were once young. They led the fashions of their time and have also managed to keep a place for themselves in this modern age.
“对于我们来说是没得报酬，但是我们就是出于一个爱好，后来演变成每个舞厅的都想要求我们去表演。随着时代的变迁呢，它舞厅也慢慢的变少了。
最大的愿望就是把家人照顾好，然后把自己最喜爱的这种舞蹈再提升一个高度就更好。
For Wuhan residents, the day starts with a filling breakfast and ends with midnight snacks. Many say that the night is the real time of revelry for people in the city. A trip to a night market is all a visitor needs to experience Wuhan's unique culture. In her novel Life Show, Wuhan writer Che Li offers this vivid description of a night scene. Amid glittering neon lights and noisy crowds on Jiqing Street, a beautiful woman sells cooked duck necks with elegance. Her works made Jiqing Street known to countless Chinese readers and also made it the most popular night market in Wuhan. Night markets offering midnight snacks have always been the city's focal point. But times change, and the popularity of Jiqing Street has become a thing of the past. Later, Baochong Road became the city's most popular night market, which was then upstaged by the newly renovated Zhongshan Avenue. The fall of one street means the rise of another. The city seems ever willing to explore new things and fashions from across the country.
我们亲家的蛮多人都来武汉的，都在搞饺子。武汉人啦，蛮喜欢吃饺子。
Restaurant owner Le Fei is far too busy to calculate how many dishes he sold tonight. He began cooking crawfish in June, and since then the restaurant has been crowded every night. Shuisong Road is just under 1 kilometer in length and is packed with close to 20 such restaurants. People are scrambling to open restaurants on this road, which is seen as a paradise for diners looking for a crawfish fix.
这个是油焖虾虾，现在的用它呢是我们亲家的做法。其实呢，我们这里的肉虾是做的非常好的。
Cooking methods for crawfish have evolved from 2 or 3 to over 20 today. Every new method is rigorously tested and judged by picky diners.
我最喜欢吃的油焖大虾、双人虾。
三蓉的、油焖的。
我最喜欢吃的是双龙虾、油虾。
只要是虾子，我都爱吃。
While competition between restaurants may seem to be a battle of flavors, the real secret to success lies in being able to secure a steady supply of crawfish. During peak periods, diners on Shuisong Road alone consume more than 20 tons of crawfish a day. The yield per square kilometre is only 300 tons. And there are many more restaurants apart from those on Shuisong Road. As early as 6 months ago, Le Fei ordered crawfish from a farm in his hometown. The farmer will deliver the best and largest crawfish to his restaurant at a set time. Most crawfish restaurants in Wuhan run their business in the same way. That means ordinary people have little chance of buying crawfish on the market and can only satisfy their appetites at night markets like this. Staying out late and eating crawfish dishes is a typical way for people in Wuhan to spend their nights. Even local government officials are not immune to its charms and like to stay up late sampling these delicacies.
你的屋里单两包毛豆，他的屋里拿个啤酒，你的屋里有花生咯，但是我的屋里只卖虾子。来武汉了，学了一个武汉人都蛮讲胃口的。
The crawfish is not the only dish sold at night markets. Different seasons bring different flavors. Of course, some delicacies are available throughout the year. Midnight snacks are all about comfort and relaxation. Free from the rules of the daytime, people can leave all their troubles behind at night. This city is used to riding on the crest of success. During the daytime, it has to carry the burdens of being an iconic city, trying hard to embrace new trends and adjusting itself to keep up with the times. But at night, it seems to return to its original character and behaves without any kind of pretension.
每天那个天起来的，已经10几年了，已经跟菜农说好了。因为葱呢，对于那个面来说也是蛮重要的一部分，也不用跟他打么招呼，直接去拿就可以了。
This is a city that has undergone tough challenges. Beneath its boldness lies a character of perseverance and calm in the face of crisis. Despite the vicissitudes of the past 100 years, people have remained honest and consistent in their way of life, allowing them to cherish the past and embrace the future.
With architecture, we present world wonders of shared beauty and prosperity. With architecture, we tell the story of trust and friendship among people.
Before most of the Egyptian capital's residents wake up, Walid Ramadan had breakfast, got dressed, and is ready to go to work. He waits for a bus to take him from his house in the eastern outskirts of Cairo to go further into the desert where an Egyptian dream is building up, the new administrative capital. Walid is a technical engineer at China State Construction Engineering Corporation. The company is leading the biggest construction project in Egypt's future capital, the Central Business District.
والله يعني أنا أول ما عرفت إن سيسك هتبدأ شغل في مصر بدأت أعمل سيرش عليها وبدأت أقدم السي في بتاعي والحمد لله هم كلموني وجيت عملت انترفيو وبدأت معهم من أول ما المشروع بدأ يعني من أول ما الأيكونيك تاور أثناء الحفر كنت موجود يعني الحمد لله.
CSCEC gave the 33-year-old engineer the experience of a lifetime. The CBD is going to be the landmark of the new Egyptian capital. The project includes 20 high-rises built over more than 500,000 square meters of land area and 1.9 million square meters of construction. Egypt has never seen anything of that magnitude. The new administrative capital Central Business District is the biggest construction project CSCEC is building on the Bilton Road initiative. And this is the iconic tower of the project. It's the tallest in Africa. The iconic tower is 385.8 meters high. It is made up of 78 floors that will include business offices, residential apartments, a hotel and government offices. After just 3.5 years, the construction of the tower and all other buildings are now complete. What remains is just the finishing. It's a remarkable progress given the impact the COVID-19 pandemic had on businesses.
CBD 从项目2018年开工以来就一直正常进行，哪怕是在2020年疫情最紧张的时期，它也仅仅是因为防疫的需要而降低了施工的进度，但从来没有停止过。近年来全球供应链的问题也对我们这个项目造成了很大的影响。
احنا اتعلمنا حاجات كتير في المشروع ده، يعني مجال ناطحات السحاب أول مرة يخش مصر. وبدأناه بالايكونيك تاور، استخدمنا فيه تكنولوجيا جديده، حاجه زي الكلايمبنج فورم وورك دي اول مره نستخدمها في مصر. لافينج تاور كرينز بتتسلق على الكور وول ملهاش اي اساس في الارض. الحقيقه دي اول مره اشوفها، يعني اول مره اشوف التكنولوجيا دي تستخدم وخاصه في مصر. المشروع ده نقل لنا خبرات كتير جدا، خبرات الصينيين في مجال البناء.
More than 300 Egyptian companies have joined CSCEC in this project, creating some 30,000 jobs. In 2016, Egypt and China celebrated 60 years over their diplomatic ties, which President Xi Jinping and President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi upgraded to comprehensive strategic partnership. During the celebrations, the two countries signed the agreement to award the CBD project to CSCEC to become an outstanding landmark that will always be a reminder of the strength of ties between Egypt and China. Adel Mahroui, CGTN, from the new administrative capital of Egypt.
Craftsmanship is a conversation between artist and nature. With passion and perseverance, the craftsman's dialogue can produce things of extraordinary beauty. Their voices echo through the souls of their creations.
This is Makers, chronicling the craftsman.
As one of China's 8 major cuisines, Sichuan food is popular both within China itself and across the wider world. In today's age of cultural collision and culinary fusions, this documentary, Sichuan Cuisine, looks at some of the lesser-known stories behind it.
It is the center of capital markets and a hub of pioneering technology. Busy and fast-paced, it is China's youngest immigrant city, where efficiency is king. Join us in 24 Hours in the City, Shenzhen.
A small brook of humble origin grows into a mighty river fed by countless streams and brings fecund blessings to immense stretches of land across southern China. Join us in the beautiful Xizang River to see how it shapes a landscape of wonders.
Visit Wuhan and discover a city of delicious hot dry noodles and crayfish. Accessible from every direction, it prides itself on its inclusiveness and independence, as well as its constantly bustling atmosphere. Discover the real Wuhan in its marketplaces and streets in 24 Hours in the City, Wuhan.
Their lives were unchronicled by biographers, with no plaques or inscriptions to celebrate their achievements. There is, however, one legacy that they do leave behind that can help future generations understand the times they lived through. Personal letters. Join us on CGTN Documentary for a unique take on history. China in Letters.
Our past shapes who we are today, even if it does not define us. It is about knowing our roots, our heritage, what makes us, us. And only by looking back can we understand where our future may lie.
The world is my classroom, while nature and the affairs of people are my textbooks. I learn from what I hear with my own ears and see with my own eyes. The rain, snow, and wind constitute my scholarship. I must press forward and demonstrate the true character of the Chinese people. I must let the world know that China is making progress. I must achieve my goal of worldwide glory.
This is what Poon Tuck Ming wrote in his autograph album after he arrived in Singapore and made plans for the next stage of his journey. In spring 1931, China was like a powder keg about to explode. The Japanese Kwantung Army in the northeast wanted to conquer the entire Chinese territory. In southern China, a devastating flood was coming. In Hunan and Jiangxi provinces, the battle between the Kuomintang and the communists turned white hot. The ambitious Poon Tuck Ming was facing pressure from the journey, as well as the nation's issues. His relatives in China all wrote to him, asking him to come home as soon as possible, but he was unwilling to give up his plan.
荒废他的学业，有一些不务正业，想让他劝他赶紧回国，